Imagine if your garden required irrigation just one time per week rather than every day. Gardeners in Amish communities have skillfully perfected approaches that reduce water consumption by 75% and simultaneously cultivate more plentiful vegetable yields. These straightforward practices do not necessitate sophisticated gear, but rather draw upon overlooked knowledge that contemporary horticulturists are now unearthing with impressive outcomes. Regarding horticultural insight, the Amish have adeptly refined methods that contemporary gardeners find challenging to implement, cultivating bountiful vegetable crops while utilizing 75% less water. Central to this methodology is a concept they term the soil sponge philosophy. This involves viewing the soil not simply as common earth, but as a dynamic reservoir for water. Many gardeners in suburban areas discover they must irrigate daily throughout the summer season, which can lead to the squandering of thousands of gallons each season. Conversely, Amish horticulturalists frequently irrigate only once a week, even when conditions are arid. The key is found in preparing the soil, a process initiated months prior to any seeds being planted. Customary Amish gardening practices include particular organic additives that significantly boost the soil's ability to retain water. Their typical soil blend comprises thoroughly composted manure, decayed leaf material, and what is often referred to as black gold, worm castings, which form minuscule pockets for holding water within the soil. My own neighbor invested $500 in an irrigation setup, whereas I allocated $50 for compost. Can you deduce which of us continues to water 3 times weekly? It isn't I. This pragmatic insight encapsulates the core reason Amish techniques have persisted for many generations. The scientific principle underpinning this method is direct. The structure of the soil has a direct bearing on the efficiency of irrigation. Amish gardeners concentrate on developing soil that possesses an ideal equilibrium between water retention and drainage. Their gardens retain moisture without becoming oversaturated, enabling plant roots to draw hydration as required, rather than compelling plants to suffer through alternating periods of deluge and aridity. By converting garden beds into natural sponges, Amish cultivators laid the groundwork for independence from frequent watering. Nevertheless, even the most superior soil requires plants capable of maximizing the use of accessible moisture. This is why comprehending the processes occurring beneath the surface constitutes the subsequent vital component in achieving mastery of water-efficient gardening. Have you ever observed plants drooping on a warm afternoon even if you irrigated them earlier that day? This occurs because the majority of garden plants possess superficial root systems, unable to access the moisture concealed merely a foot beneath the ground. The remarkable nature of Amish gardening techniques becomes apparent when you excavate one of their plants. Whereas plants in typical suburban gardens extend their roots down only 4 to 6 inches, vegetables in traditional Amish gardens frequently develop root systems that reach depths of 18 to 24 inches, and sometimes even further. Consider this astonishing calculation. Increasing root depth by 2-fold does not simply mean twice the water availability. It can actually diminish watering requirements by 75%, or even greater amounts. What is the reason for this? It is because deeper soil maintains consistent moisture levels even through dry spells, while the uppermost few inches desiccate rapidly under the intense heat of the sun. Cultivating these water-efficient, deep root systems calls for patience and self-control. Most gardeners unwittingly hinder their plants' development by irrigating often but superficially. This practice conditions roots to remain near the surface, where they swiftly deplete the available moisture. The Amish strategy involves watering profoundly but rarely. By permitting the top several inches of soil to dry somewhat between irrigations, plants are stimulated to extend their roots downward in pursuit of dependable moisture. Irrigating your garden on a daily basis is akin to offering teenagers food every hour. This practice will foster reliance rather than self-sufficiency. Following just a single growing season employing this technique, numerous gardeners have reported a decrease in their watering frequency from daily to weekly. While the soil sponge establishes the base, These deeply penetrating roots serve as the conduit for enduring hydration. However, even with outstanding soil quality and robust root systems, moisture can still be lost, which is why the covering on your garden is just as significant as what lies beneath it. Uncovered soil is parched soil. The sun bears down, the wind sweeps across its surface, and valuable moisture dissipates into the atmosphere. Traditional Amish gardeners appreciate this elementary fact, which explains why you will seldom find bare earth in their cultivation areas. Instead, they construct what could be described as mulch mountains, protective layers that secure moisture underground where plants can utilize it. Consider a square foot of unprotected garden soil in the summertime. It could forfeit as much as 1 gallon of water each day solely through evaporation. If you cover that identical area with suitable mulch, water loss can decrease by as much as 80%. The Amish method frequently utilizes what contemporary gardeners refer to as the lasagna method, alternating strata of various organic substances. A foundation of newspaper or cardboard suppresses weeds, succeeded by compost, straw, leaves, grass clippings, and additional compost. Each substance fulfills a distinct role in the system of water retention. Not all mulches achieve the same results. Wood chips can retain approximately double the moisture of straw, whereas leaf mold can hold nearly 3 times its own weight in water. Dark-colored mulches accelerate soil warming in the spring, but might lead to increased evaporation during the height of summer heat. Consider the contrast between an Amish garden and a contemporary one. The former boasts 6 inches of mulch, while the latter accumulates 6 inches worth of water expenses. The thickness is of immense importance. While 2 inches might be adequate for ornamental plants, vegetable gardens derive greater benefit from 4 to 6 inches during hot months. The Amish typically apply thicker mulch around plants that thrive in heat, such as tomatoes, and thinner layers around crops suited to cooler seasons. Frequent mulching errors involve accumulating material against plant stems, which can encourage rot and attract pests, and applying fresh wood chips that temporarily deplete the soil of nitrogen as they break down. While these protective coverings shield gardens from drought, their efficacy is maximized when they capture every bit of accessible moisture, which is why intelligent water gathering becomes the subsequent crucial component of the Amish conservation strategy. On our channel, the sole product we will ever endorse is a publication by Claude Davis, an experienced prepper, detailing 126 superfoods and techniques for preservation originating from critical periods such as the Great Depression and wartime, information that is unobtainable from other sources. Our decision to endorse his book stems from the conviction that we represent the final generation capable of passing these methods and knowledge of superfoods to our offspring or their children. It would be regrettable if this knowledge concerning exceptionally nutritious foods and preservation strategies for surviving crises were to vanish. Additionally, a book on herbal remedies by Nicole is available in their store. For those viewing this on television, you can search for our channel, Frugal Solutions, using your phone or tablet and locate the books by selecting the link provided in our channel's description or in the description of any other video. Water freely descends from the sky on a regular basis. Nonetheless, a majority of homeowners allow thousands of gallons to flow off their properties annually. An average roof gathers approximately 600 gallons of water for each inch of rainfall. For a moderately sized 1,500 square foot residence, this amounts to 9,000 gallons per year in many areas, sufficient to irrigate a substantial vegetable garden for the entire season. Amish communities have refined, straightforward water collection methods that do not require electricity, intricate pumps, or costly apparatus. Their techniques depend instead on gravity, deliberate positioning, and meticulous forethought. Rain barrels serve as the initial step in water harvesting. Positioned under downspouts, a typical 55-gallon barrel can fill entirely with just a quarter inch of precipitation. More extensive systems connect multiple barrels using simple overflow pipes, thereby establishing a storage capacity of hundreds of gallons. Beyond just containers, the Amish have shaped their landscapes to naturally guide and retain water. Shallow swales, which are essentially ditches that follow the contours of the land, collect runoff and permit it to gradually seep into the soil. These uncomplicated earthworks can store 20 times more water within the ground than containers can hold above it. For properties on a slope, terraces form level areas for planting that inhibit rapid water drainage. Even slight changes in elevation of merely 2 to 3 inches between terraces markedly boost water retention. The Amish philosophy regards water as a valuable resource to be utilized repeatedly. Water used for washing is then used for garden plants. Water from cooking is cooled and given to chickens. And water from washing animals is used to irrigate fruit trees. Contemporary gardeners monitor weather predictions with hopes of precipitation. Amish gardeners, however, observe their rain barrels accumulating water and reflect, "That's one more water expense I am avoiding." While amassing water furnishes the supply, knowing precisely when and how to dispense it guarantees that none is squandered. This is why comprehending which plants naturally assist each other can amplify the effectiveness of every collected drop. Plants assisting other plants. That is the openly concealed secret within Amish gardens. Whereas modern agriculture frequently cultivates single crops in lengthy, separate rows, traditional Amish gardens intersperse various plants in tactical arrangements that inherently conserve water. Were you aware that a tall corn plant can diminish water evaporation for smaller plants growing within its shade? Or that certain plants with shallow roots combine ideally with deep-rooted neighbors, enabling them to occupy the same square foot of space without vying for water? The traditional Three Sisters planting method exemplifies this water-conscious strategy. Corn furnishes a natural support structure and afternoon shade. Beans contribute nitrogen to nourish adjacent plants while ascending the corn stalks, and squash spreads over the soil, acting as a living mulch that inhibits weeds that steal water and lessens evaporation. Some companion plants genuinely enhance one another's ability to withstand drought through chemical communications exchanged via their roots or through advantageous interactions with soil fungi. Research indicates that basil planted alongside tomatoes can augment its neighbor's drought resistance by as much as 25%. Low-growing herbs such as thyme and oregano function as living mulch around taller vegetables, maintaining soil coolness and moisture. Plants with umbrella-like blossoms, for instance, dill and fennel, offer partial shade that shields lettuce and spinach from wilting during the summer's heat. Effective companion planting operates much like a well-run retirement community. Each member offers a valuable contribution, no resources are squandered, and everyone assists one another in maintaining health, thereby avoiding the need for medical intervention. Nasturtiums serve as extraordinary allies in water conservation within the garden. Their wide leaves gather morning dew, channeling it to their own base and also benefiting plants nearby. Their superficial root systems do not contend with vegetables that have deeper roots. By establishing these reciprocally beneficial plant communities, Amish gardeners curtail water requirements. However, even the most optimally designed garden partnerships still necessitate water at the appropriate moment, which is where understanding nature's schedule becomes paramount. The timing of watering is just as crucial as the quantity of water applied. The Amish have long adhered to what contemporary gardeners now term the 5:30 rule, irrigating early in the morning, preferably around 5:30 a.m., to enhance efficiency and reduce wastage. Morning irrigation permits plants to accumulate moisture before the day's heat sets in. According to agricultural research, watering at this hour can decrease consumption by 30% in comparison to afternoon irrigation. Water applied during the heat of midday can evaporate before roots have a chance to absorb it, with as much as 60% being lost to the atmosphere instead of nourishing the plants. Evening watering, though convenient for those with demanding schedules, also presents issues. Leaves that stay damp throughout the night become susceptible to fungal diseases and slugs. The Amish observed this pattern generations ago, thereby making morning watering a standard procedure. Instead of adhering to inflexible timetables, Traditional Amish gardeners depend on physical cues to ascertain when plants genuinely require water. Footprints that stay visible in long grass for more than a few seconds suggest drought stress. Curling tomato leaves and drooping bean plants act as visual signals of water necessity. Irrigating a garden at midday is comparable to tossing ice cubes onto a heated skillet. There's considerable fizzing, yet little practical advantage. Knowledge of weather patterns plays a significant part in Amish watering choices. They note that overcast days following rainfall frequently keep soil moisture for longer than anticipated, permitting a delay in watering. Conversely, hot winds can desiccate soil more rapidly than sunshine alone. Plants also adhere to natural hydration rhythms, generally needing more water during their flowering and fruiting phases than in early growth stages or dormancy. The Amish calendar considers these fluctuating needs over the course of the growing season. While proper timing aids in water conservation, the implements used to dispense moisture directly affect efficiency, which clarifies why conventional hand tools frequently surpass modern sprinklers in the water-wise gardens of the Amish. Strolling through an Amish garden, one will observe a notable lack of plastic hoses, sprinklers, and automated irrigation systems. In their place, you will discover an assortment of specialized hand tools that distribute water with extraordinary accuracy and very little waste. The unassuming watering can continues to be a fundamental tool in Amish gardens. In contrast to sprinklers that disperse water without discrimination, a watering can equipped with a suitable rose attachment delivers moisture precisely where it is needed, at the base of the plants, where roots can reach it. This focused method utilizes up to 1/3 less water than standard sprinklers. Studies corroborate what Amish gardeners have understood for generations. Contemporary sprinkler systems squander between 30% to 50% of water due to evaporation and runoff. Even drip irrigation systems, regarded as efficient by current standards, lose 10% of water through evaporation. Perhaps the most characteristic Amish watering implement is the water furrow hoe. With a blade uniquely crafted to form small channels that guide water directly to plant roots, these micro-trenches direct water underground, where evaporation cannot pilfer it. When employed correctly, this method lessens water usage by as much as 70% compared to surface watering. Another water-conserving tool is the customary trenching spade. Its slender, straight blade carves deep irrigation trenches between rows of plants, which then act as miniature reservoirs. Water permeates deeply instead of flowing off the surface, thereby fostering those water-saving deep root systems. Elaborate irrigation setups are similar to motorized golf carts. They are costly, demand regular upkeep, and rob you of the physical activity that constituted a significant portion of the original benefit. The traditional Amish dibber, a pointed wooden implement for creating planting holes, forms slightly deeper indentations around newly transplanted seedlings. These natural collecting basins retain water directly at the root zone, inhibiting runoff and diminishing the frequency of watering. These uncomplicated hand tools dispense water with remarkable efficiency, demonstrating that, at times, older technology exceeds modern alternatives. Nonetheless, even the finest tools have their limitations if the plants themselves are not inherently suited to dry environments. This leads us to another crucial element of Amish water conservation knowledge. What if your vegetables could flourish with half the amount of water merely due to the seeds you selected? Amish gardeners have maintained drought-resistant plant varieties for generations, frequently preserving seeds from plants that fare best during arid seasons. Modern commercial seeds are generally cultivated in greenhouse environments with plentiful water and fertilizer. Conversely, Amish heritage varieties have developed under actual field conditions where survival hinged on innate resilience. These seeds yield plants with genetic traits adapted to cope with stress and scarce water. Significant disparities exist between commercial and heritage types. Standard tomato varieties purchased from stores often need watering every 2 to 3 days during summer's heat. Many tomato varieties preserved by the Amish can endure 5 to 7 days between irrigations while still maintaining productivity. This represents a 50% to 60% decrease in water consumption achieved solely through seed choice. The distinction is rooted in physical adaptations. Varieties resistant to drought frequently possess deeper root systems, reduced leaf surface area to minimize water loss, and waxy coatings on leaves that hinder evaporation. Some develop minuscule hairs on their stems and leaves that capture morning dew, thereby supplying additional moisture. Contemporary hybrid seeds and traditional heritage seeds manage drought conditions in a way that can be compared to new automobiles versus old pickup trucks. One requires continuous care, whereas the other simply continues to function reliably. Through generations of meticulous observation, Amish gardeners pinpointed and conserved varieties that exhibited natural resistance to drought. Their seed collections include corn that was developed during the Dust Bowl era, beans that prosper during historic droughts, and squash varieties that yield crops despite minimal rainfall. Selecting appropriate seeds establishes a basis for water efficiency that demands no additional effort after planting. Yet, even common plants can transform into exceptional water savers when the soil beneath them incorporates special components that convert it into a natural water bank. The Amish's clandestine tool against drought is not intricate technology. It is what they incorporate into their soil. These particular additives change ordinary garden beds into moisture-retaining reservoirs that keep plants hydrated during dry periods without requiring constant watering. Traditional biochar, a specific kind of charcoal produced for soil enhancement, serves as the foundation of Amish water conservation practices. In contrast to ordinary charcoal, biochar is subjected to a unique oxygen-restricted burning process that results in a highly porous substance. A single pound of biochar can retain as much as 5 pounds of water, gradually making it available to plant roots during arid spells. Scientific investigation validates what Amish gardeners learned through hands-on experience. Gardens enhanced with biochar need 25% to 40% less irrigation than those without it. The minute microscopic pores in biochar particles function like millions of tiny water storage units within the soil. Another Amish technique involves the use of clay amendments. When integrated into sandy soils, certain kinds of clay markedly enhance water retention. Bentonite clay, for instance, can absorb up to 7 times its own weight in water and releases it slowly as the soil becomes drier. Optimal garden soil ought to function like a dependable savings account. It secures resources during times of plenty and disperses them when the need arises. Long before commercial soil additives became available in stores, Amish gardeners formulated their own mixtures for retaining water. Ground eggshells, well-composted manure, and finely pulverized leaves were combined to create aggregates that improved both soil drainage and its capacity to hold water. The advantages accumulate progressively. Gardens that have received these amendments for 3 successive years typically demonstrate a 50% to 60% decrease in irrigation requirements when compared to soil that has not been treated. While these additives establish an ideal setting for plant growth, even the finest soil conditions represent only one aspect of the overall picture. The genuinely prosperous gardener must also cultivate another skill that no implement or product can substitute: the capacity to interpret their plants' signals. Plants communicate not through speech, but via observable cues that distinctly convey their requirements. Amish gardeners have refined the skill of deciphering this unspoken language, enabling them to irrigate only when genuinely needed rather than adhering to inflexible timetables. Acquiring the ability to interpret plant signals removes a significant amount of the uncertainty involved in watering. A 2020 agricultural study revealed that gardeners who irrigated based on meticulous observation utilized 42% less water than those who followed predetermined schedules, yet they attained identical harvest yields. Various vegetables exhibit distinct indicators of drought. Tomato leaves constrict, resembling hands in prayer when they start to encounter water stress. Bean leaves adopt a paler shade of green and lose their sheen prior to wilting. Lettuce leaves show subtle bluish tinges when nearing drought conditions. Mornings offer the optimal period for this type of plant examination. Any drooping observed during the heat of the afternoon is typical for many plants, but wilting in the morning signifies a genuine requirement for water. Amish gardens usually set aside the early hours specifically for evaluating the moisture status of plants. Interpreting the signals from your plants is similar to visiting elderly family members. Both value the consideration, and both will undoubtedly inform you if an issue exists. The hue of the undersides of leaves also discloses vital information. Many plants exhibit paler undersides when they are deficient in water, whereas sufficient hydration preserves a deeper coloration. Soil around plant stems that retracts from the surface indicates shrinkage due to water loss. Amish gardeners perceive beyond the evident signs of wilting that most individuals recognize. They observe slight alterations in leaf posture, stem firmness, and even the sound leaves produce when gently rubbed between one's fingers. Firm leaves suggest proper hydration, while flaccid leaves imply a water shortage. This proficiency in plant interpretation, honed through generations of careful observation, signifies the pinnacle of Amish water conservation methods, transforming gardening from a water-demanding pursuit into a cooperative alliance with the inherent rhythms of nature. These water-conserving methods of the Amish demonstrate that the most potent solutions in gardening are frequently the most straightforward. Through cooperation with natural systems, instead of opposing them, any individual can achieve a 75% reduction in watering needs while cultivating more robust and plentiful vegetable yields. The key has always been present, concealed in plain view for many generations.